All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. We got Jerome Powell in the Fed tomorrow, and I have one little secret to watch for that will change the whole dynamic of the day. I even got a big play related to it, but as far as what happened today, the earnings after the bell, they were quite the dud. Google disappointed, even though it wasn't that bad. Microsoft beat on everything. They still went down. They're talking about intelligent cloud and Azure right now in the conference call. That's why it's running up. But even AMD, they barely beat. Their guidance was a little bit iffy. They ended up dropping, still moving what was priced in. And then out of nowhere, even though Starbucks did bad, the cheap company ended up going higher. So it was a wild one. We also had jobs data today. It led the bond market to selling off even the equities. And then by the end of the day, we started bouncing up. But this relates to the Fed. So I got the breakdown, what to watch for tomorrow in Jerome Powell. I got a couple plays. We'll even go over the plays we made today. And then if you do not know, I usually tell you this as everything else, but we will be live for Jerome Powell. Live and direct commentary right when it comes out, going over this statement, even the press conference, youtube.com/the stock market, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We will be live and covering the whole event live. So if anything changes, if you want any updates on this video, anything, we are going to be there live. And so is the whole chat, man. It's going to be a good time. So in the meantime, what I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com. Oh, wait, I already said that. That's the stop. You already know that. Run it, baby.
Call, baby. Yeah. It's a letter to the people. I'm feeling it like a ball. It don't matter about the evil. It matter about the God. It don't matter about their weapons. It matter about how you armed. All that matters is the weather. When weather to bet the farm. I ain't got.
But right off the bat, before we get into the meat of the bone, I would like to offer you some context on the meeting tomorrow. If they do not raise rates and they still maintain the pause, they don't cut either way, this will be the fourth meeting in a row of no rate hikes. Remember, we had the pause a couple months ago. A lot of people talked about the average time that the Fed has stayed paused. Well, tomorrow, this will be our fourth meeting. And to give you more context, in 2006 to 2007, before they started cutting rates ahead of '08, they remained paused for 9 meetings. In the year 2000, remember that whole 2001 versus 2006? Well, in 2000, they paused for 6 meetings in a row before they started changing policy. So what is this all supposed to mean for tomorrow? You still have a lot of runway. We are not expecting any rate cuts. Remember, at the last Fed meeting, the summary of economic projections, everybody got really bullish. Even the Fed futures, just until a couple of days ago, they were pricing in a rate cut for March. Not anymore. Those odds are around 35%. So we are going to hear about progress and what's going on, and you should expect Powell to move the marker a little bit, but we should not be getting anything in the nature of a rate cut. Maybe they do talk about it, but that will be the big key. But the other thing to watch out for right away, it is not all about the press conference. 2:30, 30 minutes after the statement released, Jerome Powell comes on and he starts answering questions. However, at 2, they release a document that is the whole statement explaining what they did. And lately, we have seen a couple of changes. That may be the case right here. Some people are expecting changes tomorrow that will highlight the progress towards inflation, whether it be inflation coming down, staying down, anything about employment costs, maybe even the tapering. We're going to talk about that, but there are some subtle changes that may happen tomorrow, and when that does come at 2 p.m., be on the lookout for a reaction, because 30 minutes ahead of Powell, the market will have something to react to. So hopefully this gives you some context now. Hopefully you're ready for 2 p.m., but now here is the little secret about tomorrow. A lot of people want the rate cuts. We shouldn't be getting it, but now what will be really bullish for tomorrow? It will be if you start getting an extensive shift towards March. I got a couple of supporting details, but I want to simplify this for you. If the Fed really was going to be cutting in March, if they really wanted to get ahead of it and prepare, and they just didn't want the market to go crazy, or you're going to watch how people react tomorrow, anything hinting at a more aggressive push till March, that will be the real big driver. Other than that, everything really should be status quo. We may get a little bit of pushback from Powell, but now what will show a more extensive and aggressive move towards March, that will be if they start talking about balance sheet runoff and even give a specific date of ending certain things. And even though Powell is saying the same speech, if they start bringing up new things, if they focus more on ending the quantitative tightening, if they start talking about how programs are ending and this is what they plan to do, kind of think about it in context of the Treasury. They're lowering borrowing estimates. If you kind of get a signal like that from Powell tomorrow that they're looking and planning other areas of policy, the market will interpret that as well. Maybe they are getting ready for March. Right now, the odds are all for May, but depending on how this gets communicated, this will be the ultimate secret of tomorrow. If you start getting more questions and more dovish answers on ending quantitative tightening, if he starts talking about, well, we are going to be ending the bank funding program, this is what we expect, and this and this and this, if they're going to be ending it and they're very confident on it, and he doesn't leave it kind of open-ended till March, these are all signs that Powell may want to be putting it into gear to start preparing for those rate cuts. So that's going to be the big deal tomorrow. Otherwise, if Powell is going to do anything, he's probably just going to say the same thing, strategic ambiguity, kind of balance it out. But like we talked about earlier in the week here, last January, people expected pushback. He didn't come with it, and he came with the opposite. If that happens again by talking about some of these future plans that are related but not related or not explicitly rate cuts, that may spur the market again. Otherwise, we just may be in for a little bit of a dance, and then we'll have to deal with the rest of the earnings and then the non-farm payrolls at the end of the week. So besides that, though, tomorrow isn't just about Powell. I'm going to leave you with the last one. The refunding announcement will be in the morning. That's going to happen in the AM before Powell, so we will have something to juggle, but don't forget, we already got the good news out of the bond borrowing estimate from the Treasury earlier there. That was just yesterday. So tomorrow, the refunding, even if it's a slight increase, which it shouldn't, people are expecting 3/4 of raising, it should come down, but that will be the only thing we juggle. I do think the market will focus on that for a little bit, but then before you know it, the market will quickly get right back into Powell, because Powell is the big deal, Holyfield. So Chad, I hope you're ready. I hope I see you tomorrow live for all of it, but now let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, this is probably your secret number 2 of Powell. I'm going to bring in some history to start off the plays, and the first play I'm looking at is going to be TLT and /ZB. /ZB is the bond future. TLT is the long end of the bond curve. You can even look for the 5-year and the 2-year, or excuse me, the 10-year and the 2-year. The 10-year would be IEF on an ETF, but here's the deal. Bonds have a tendency to go up after the Fed meeting. And what do I mean by that? Yields go lower. Regardless of what the Fed says, even in 2022, when they were raising rates, the 3-day window before, the day before the Fed, and then the 2 days after to end the week, it has been bullish for bonds no matter what has happened, and the same thing even applied for 2010 all the way to 2020, regardless of what was going on with rates. It is a weird phenomena. People have studied it, but at the end of the day, bonds are usually bullish. It doesn't mean that they won't have a knee-jerk reaction and go down, but kind of like what you saw today, and this is part of the evidence, we had bad data for the bonds. We sold off, but by the end of the day, it started melting up. You may get a similar reaction like this tomorrow, and I would definitely be watching out for that. So that's going to be my first play. I'm already in a ZB. I was getting murdered on it. It's actually came back now, so the way I'm looking at it, unless tomorrow is really bullish, I'm going to try to get out of it, use this to my advantage. Otherwise, if it is really bullish, if we see that kind of exposedness of Powell trying to prepare without telling you explicitly, I may be down to hold it if we do get a really bullish reaction. So that is play number 1. Then play number 2, I actually made a play on this one today with the options, but I kept it small, and we'll talk about that. But Amazon, they went down on the Microsoft results, and I really think it was because the valuation of Microsoft. Microsoft had a negative reaction even though they beat. They killed it. Even their guidance now is good. I don't see a problem with the cloud industry. Amazon, AWS, this is a big deal for them, and we've been talking about this. If you go look at any of these Mag 7 stocks, stocks and any of the big seven, I hate calling it Mag 7, but any of these just mega cap names, Amazon is the only one that's not at all-time highs. Google, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, or not Amazon, anyone you can name, Meta, they are all breaking out to new all-time highs. Amazon is the only one not doing that. So if there is going to be exuberance and craziness, or maybe even a good earnings here that's going to come out, they are lagging behind. So with that and how Microsoft ended up performing, I thought that was a good idea, but I said this on the keys there, I went very small. As far as plays, I grabbed a next week 190. This is about $10 out of the money from 2 standard deviations, and I only paid 20 cents. I paid $20 for it. I wanted one small play. I did this with Meta, and this is something we've been talking about. A lot of these names are at all-time highs. I'm not trying to risk a lot of money. My number one key here is exposure, because if I am wrong, I am going to just lose $20. I don't have to get married to it. I'm not holding the shares. I'm not going with a bigger option trade where everything is priced in a lot, then everything stays in the middle and only moves what's priced in. If there is going to be a big move, these small ones will give you a little bit of money, and it protects you even if you make a couple of these plays and only hit one, which is what we have been doing on a lot of these plays lately. So that's going to be play number 2. I'm really excited about just all of these cheap plays, but Amazon, we've talked about it. I kind of missed the run up when I went with the Meta, so we'll see if tomorrow brings in any other opportunities. And remember, their earnings is on Thursday, but that is play number 2. And then finally, another earnings. This one's post. I keep bringing this one up, but Pfizer, I'll show you the play that I made on it, but essentially they did nothing on their earnings. They were up 2%, then they ended up dropping back down to like 1.5. So in a weird way, it was like their biggest earnings in like a year if you look at the movement, but option premium, calls, and puts has been absolutely destroyed, and now all of these plays are cheap nominally. Again, it's cheap because they're not expected to move a lot. You remember Pfizer did go crazy not too long ago. We got a nice hit on it. So if things do get woken up, there's analyst upgrades, or maybe they follow up with news. It's not like we haven't seen that before. It may need a few days to rock, but there was nothing good, nothing bad on the earnings. I thought I would take the play. Remember, yesterday I only spent $16 playing both ways on it. So what I decided to do today, I grabbed these in the morning. I ended up with 3 of the next week 28.50 calls at 14 cents. So I spent about $32 or $42 in total. And why did I go with the 28.50? Because that's literally where it was at in the morning. So it was like right below there. I figured if it does have the bounce back up, like a couple of plays we've seen recently do that. Even Humana, that was a good example. I sold out of that one today. I figured I could get it for a good deal. And even if you look at the options, and this is a great lesson for any of the plays tomorrow, any of these plays, Microsoft, Google, AMD, even Starbucks, take a look at these option chains in the morning, kind of see where they're at, because once the premium gets killed, like I'm telling you, this play in the morning was going for 50 cents even the day before. If I wanted to play this, it would have cost me $35 for one contract. These just absolutely plummeted. So it got rid of that premium, let it do its move. If you get any sort of weird comeback, or maybe the Fed sparks some things, this could be a good opportunity. So it's not just limited to Pfizer, but that's the one that I went with, and I really like that. But those are the main plays. As far as everything else, we did the 2 standard deviation plays. Again, if you are there tomorrow around 11 a.m. Eastern, about 1 hour after the philo, right before the earnings or right before power hour, I am going to go through all of the earnings live, and we're going to do these previews and make their plays. Even if I don't make a play, I go over what is priced in, what is expected, and what would be an outsized move and what range to expect. So if you've been noticing, even if we miss on the play, we go the wrong direction, we choose not to play it, the strike prices are money, man. So be there. If you're not going to be there, at least get this stream alerts. It'll notify you when we're going to be on there, but everybody's coming in throughout the day. I'm telling you, it's a great learning opportunity, and that's what we did here again today. So Amazon was a different one. I did try to ghetto spread my Meta play. That play we made a couple days ago, it's up like 60%. I wish I did that before the earnings, but we'll see how it ends up playing. But I decided to go with the TMO next week one way. This would be a little bit outside of 2 standard deviations, but this one's a $500 stock for $45. I'm hoping we get lucky on that. Then I went both ways on NVO. They're going to be tomorrow morning, and both of these are 2 standard deviations. And then I went with Match. We did about, $30 both ways, 2 standard deviations. And then I also did Google both ways, and then AMD one way, and then we sold out of Humana. That was a play from the other day that we ended up doing good on. And Procter Gamble, that play was like $30 into 200, and I could have got like 300, made it 1,000%, but I ended up selling out early. Same same thing with Humana, but those are the only plays. Tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of action. We'll see where it takes us, but the main event is Powell, so I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure Hydrate Healthy ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And I need you to remember, logic will take you a long way, but you need to balance it with something else. Make sure you get some hope. Only logic. Don't get too depressed off the reality. And let some more stuff in, baby. But stay in the game. Drink that water. Stay hydrated, healthy, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the morning, and horn.